Too often, women find themselves giving too much in relationships, pouring their time, energy, and emotions into someone who does not reciprocate at the same level. This pattern of overgiving is not just about acts of kindness. It's about a mindset that stems from the desire to be valued, appreciated, and loved. But the truth is, when you constantly overextend yourself without receiving equal effort in return, you set the stage for imbalance and disappointment. Overgiving can take many forms. Always being the one to initiate conversations, making sacrifices to accommodate a man's schedule, offering constant emotional support while receiving little in return, or even financially supporting someone who does not contribute equally. It's not about being selfish or refusing to be there for someone. It's about recognizing when the giving is one-sided and when it's leading to self-neglect. One of the biggest reasons women fall into the trap of overgiving is the belief that if they just give more love, more understanding, more patience, the man will eventually see their worth and step up, but that rarely happens. Instead, overgiving often leads to the other person taking them for granted. When someone doesn't have to put in effort to keep you, they won't. It's human nature to value what requires work. And if a woman is constantly giving without requiring anything in return, the man has no incentive to step up and meet her at her level. There's also the cultural and societal conditioning that teaches women to be nurturers, caretakers, and self-sacrificing in relationships. From a young age, many women are taught that being a good woman means being endlessly forgiving, patient, and accommodating. While kindness and empathy are beautiful qualities, they should not come at the cost of self-respect. A woman who continuously prioritizes someone else's needs over her own will eventually lose herself in the process. She will find herself drained, exhausted, and wondering why her efforts are not being appreciated. The key to breaking free from the cycle of overgiving is to match energy, not exceed it. If a man puts in effort, reciprocate accordingly. But if he is inconsistent, distant, or unwilling to contribute equally, do not make up for his lack by giving more. Love should never feel like a transaction where one person is doing all the work just to earn basic respect and commitment. The right man will not require you to prove your worth through excessive giving. He'll already see it. Self-awareness is crucial in recognizing when you are overgiving. Ask yourself, am I always the one initiating plans? Am I constantly excusing his bad behavior? Do I feel emotionally drained instead of fulfilled in this relationship? Am I afraid that if I stop giving, he will lose interest? These questions can help identify whether you are in a one-sided dynamic that is fueled by your efforts alone. Pulling back from overgiving does not mean playing games or being manipulative. It means valuing yourself enough to require equal effort from the person you are investing in. It means understanding that love is not about proving yourself through endless acts of service. It's about mutual respect, appreciation, and effort. When you stop overgiving, you make room for relationships that are balanced and healthy. You allow yourself to receive rather than constantly feeling like you have to earn affection. Many women fear that if they stop overgiving, they will lose the man they are trying so hard to keep. But the reality is, if a relationship requires you to constantly overcompensate, then it's already broken. A man who is truly interested and values you will meet you halfway. He won't need you to carry the weight of the relationship alone. He will put in effort. He will show appreciation, and he will respect the boundaries you set. It's important to remember that self-worth is not determined by how much you can give to someone else. Your worth exists regardless of how much you do for a man. When you recognize this, you no longer feel the need to prove yourself through overgiving. You understand that love should not be exhausting. It should be mutual, fulfilling, and empowering. Setting unbreakable boundaries is not about pushing people away. It's about defining what you will and will not tolerate in your life. Too often, women find themselves in situations where they accept behavior that makes them uncomfortable, disrespected, or emotionally drained simply because they fear losing a relationship or being seen as difficult. But the truth is, without clear boundaries, people will treat you however they please, not how you deserve. A boundary is a line that protects your self-respect, emotional well-being, and personal values. It tells people what is acceptable and what is not. If you do not set and enforce boundaries, you will find yourself constantly compromising your needs for the sake of keeping someone else happy. And the more you allow, the more others will take advantage of your kindness. One of the biggest reasons women struggle with boundaries is the fear of rejection. They worry that if they say no, if they demand better treatment, or if they stand firm on their expectations, they will push the other person away. But the truth is, the only people who are offended by your boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. A man who truly values you will respect your limits. A man who only seeks to use you will push against them. And that distinction alone tells you everything you need to know about the kind of relationship you are in. Setting strong boundaries starts with knowing your worth. When you value yourself, you do not allow anyone to walk all over you, manipulate you, or make you feel less than you are. Boundaries are not about being mean or distant. They are about self-respect. They tell the world, this is how I expect to be treated. And if you cannot meet that, you do not have access to me. There are different types of boundaries, and all of them are essential in relationships. Emotional boundaries protect your feelings and mental well-being. If someone constantly invalidates your emotions, dismisses your concerns, or makes you feel guilty for expressing yourself, it is a sign that your emotional boundaries are being crossed. You must be firm in stating, I will not tolerate being disrespected or having my feelings dismissed. Time boundaries ensure that you are not overextending yourself for someone who does not appreciate it. If a man only calls when it's convenient for him, if he expects you to drop everything for him while he does the bare minimum, it's time to enforce a time boundary. Your time is valuable and you should not waste it on someone who does not respect it. Physical boundaries are just as crucial. You have every right to control who has access to your body, your space, and your energy. If someone pressures you into anything you are not comfortable with, whether it's physical intimacy, showing up unannounced, or constantly invading your personal space, you must be firm in asserting your limits. You do not owe anyone access to you simply because they desire it. Financial boundaries are often overlooked but extremely important. If you find yourself constantly paying for things, lending money that is never returned, or supporting a man who does not contribute equally, you need to reassess the dynamic. A relationship should never be built on one person financially supporting the other, unless there is a mutual understanding and agreement. You are not an ATM or a provider. You deserve financial respect. The most critical part of setting boundaries is enforcing them. It is not enough to say, I don't like when you do this, if you continue to accept the behavior. People learn how to treat you based on what you allow. If you let disrespect slide once, they will do it again. If you make excuses for bad behavior, they will continue pushing the limits. Walking away from those who continuously violate your boundaries is one of the most powerful things you can do. It sends a clear message that you value yourself enough not to tolerate disrespect. It shows that you are not afraid to lose someone who does not treat you right because you refused. Women are naturally emotional beings, and that is a beautiful strength. But when emotions are not managed properly, they can become a weakness. Too often, women invest deeply in relationships without first ensuring that the other person is equally invested. They get attached too quickly, fall in love with potential rather than reality, and allow their emotions to cloud their judgment. This is where the problem begins. Love should be a balance of heart and mind, not a blind surrender of logic and self-respect. Emotional detachment does not mean being cold, distant, or unloving. It means maintaining control over your feelings so they do not control you. It means loving with awareness, setting boundaries around your heart, and ensuring that your emotions do not lead you into situations that are unhealthy, toxic, or one-sided. It is about protecting your peace and not allowing another person to dictate your happiness, self-worth, or mental well-being. One of the biggest mistakes women make in relationships is getting too emotionally involved too soon. They meet a man, feel an instant connection, and immediately start envisioning a future with him even before he has proven himself worthy of that level of commitment. This emotional attachment creates a dangerous dynamic where the woman becomes more invested than the man, leading her to tolerate behavior she should never accept. She starts making excuses for his flaws, justifying his lack of effort, and ignoring red flags. Because she has already decided that she wants to be with him. A woman who is emotionally detached approaches relationships differently. She does not give her heart away without first observing whether the man is truly deserving of it. She does not get overly excited about words. She waits for consistent actions. She does not allow temporary excitement to blind her to the reality of how she is being treated. She enjoys the connection but remains in control of her emotions until she sees clear proof that the man is serious, committed, and willing to invest in her at the same level. Detaching emotionally also means not allowing a man's behavior to dictate your mood, self-esteem, or sense of worth. Too many women fall into the trap of obsessing over why a man is being distant, why he hasn't called, or why he isn't showing the same level of interest. They analyze every little action, replay conversations in their head, and overthink what they could have done differently. But this only leads to unnecessary stress and anxiety. A woman who is emotionally detached understands that if a man is truly interested, he will show it. If he does not, she does not waste time worrying about it. She simply moves on. One of the most powerful ways to practice emotional detachment is by shifting your focus from the man to yourself. Instead of constantly thinking about what he is doing, how he feels, or what he wants, start prioritizing your own needs, goals, and happiness. Keep yourself busy with things that bring you joy. Surround yourself with people who uplift and support you. Develop hobbies, chase your ambitions, and build a life that is fulfilling with or without a relationship. When you are secure in yourself, you naturally become less emotionally dependent on any one person. Another key aspect of emotional detachment is learning to recognize and accept reality. If a man is inconsistent, if he is showing you that he does not value you, or if he is not meeting your standards, you must have the strength to walk away without allowing your emotions to convince you otherwise. Do not cling to the idea of what you wish the relationship could be. See it for what it truly is. When you detach from unrealistic expectations, you free yourself from the pain of disappointment. Finally, emotional detachment is about mastering the art of responding, not reacting. When you are overly attached, you react impulsively to everything. His lack of effort makes you anxious. His distant behavior makes you chase. His mixed signals make you desperate for clarity. But when you are emotionally detached, you remain calm and in control. If he pulls away, you do not panic. You simply take a step back as well. If he is inconsistent, you do not try harder, you let him go. This level of self-control is what keeps you from being emotionally manipulated or taken for granted. At the core of emotional detachment is self-respect. It is about valuing yourself enough not to let anyone's actions or inactions affect your inner peace. It is about refusing to let your emotions lead you into situations where you are not valued, respected, or prioritized. When you learn to love smart, not blindly, You gain the power to walk away from anything that does not serve you, and that is where true strength lies. Self-respect is the foundation of everything. Your relationships, your confidence, and the way you allow others to treat you. Yet too many women sacrifice their self-respect in the name of love, hoping that if they prove themselves, if they are patient enough, or if they love hard enough, they will finally be chosen, appreciated, or prioritized. This is a dangerous mindset because the moment you prioritize someone else's needs, validation, or attention over your own self-respect, you lose yourself. And once you lose yourself, you allow mistreatment, accept less than you deserve, and settle for relationships that drain you instead of fulfill you. Choosing dignity over desperation means recognizing your own worth and refusing to compromise it just to keep someone in your life. It means understanding that love should never come at the cost of your self-respect. No matter how much you care for someone, if they are not treating you right, if they are inconsistent, disrespectful, or emotionally unavailable, then it is not your job to tolerate it or fix it. It is your job to walk away and protect your peace. Desperation is one of the biggest reasons women settle for less. It makes you overlook red flags, cling to unhealthy relationships, and chase people who should be chasing you, and makes you accept breadcrumbs of attention instead of the full commitment you deserve. Desperation is what keeps you texting first every time, waiting by the phone, excusing bad behavior, and begging for love that should be freely given. But the moment you shift from a mindset of desperation to one of dignity, everything changes. A woman with dignity does not beg for attention. She commands respect. She does not chase, she attracts. She does not tolerate mistreatment, she walks away from it. She understands that her time, energy, and love are valuable, and she will not waste them on someone who does not recognize her worth. A woman who prioritizes self-respect does not need to prove anything to anyone because she already knows she is enough. One of the biggest signs that you are prioritizing self-respect is the ability to say no. No to disrespect, no to one-sided effort, no to toxic cycles, no to situations that make you feel small. Many women struggle with saying no because they fear rejection or being alone. But the reality is that saying no to the wrong things makes space for the right things. Every time you set a boundary, every time you refuse to settle, you reinforce your self-worth. A woman with dignity also understands that walking away is sometimes the most powerful move she can make. Too many women stay in relationships out of fear. Fear of starting over, fear of being alone, fear of losing someone they love. But staying in a situation where you are not respected is far more damaging than walking away. Leaving does not mean you are weak, it means you are strong enough to choose yourself. Prioritizing self-respect also means not tolerating mixed signals, bare minimum effort, or half-hearted love. If a man wants to be with you, he will show you consistently, clearly, and without games. If he is unsure, inconsistent, or treating you as an option, a woman with dignity does not waste her time trying to convince you. She does not lower her standards just to accommodate his lack of effort. She understands that a man who truly values her will rise to meet her, not expect her to lower herself to fit into his comfort zone. Another important aspect of self-respect is not seeking external validation. Too often, women tie their worth to whether a man chooses them, compliments them, or gives them attention. But self-respect means knowing your value even when no one is watching. It means carrying yourself with confidence, taking care of yourself, and living a life that makes you happy. Whether you are in a relationship or not, your worth is not dependent on a man's opinion of you. It is something you determine for yourself. Women who prioritize self-respect do not play the role of the fixer, the rescuer, or the overgiver. They understand that love should be mutual, not a project where they have to heal, build, or change a man just to receive the love they desire. A man should come into your life as a partner, not as a... One of the biggest mistakes women make in relationships is staying where they are not valued. They hold on to situations that drain them, tolerate disrespect, and hope that if they just love harder, things will change. But here's the truth. Love should never require you to abandon your self-respect. If a man does not treat you with the basic level of dignity and appreciation you deserve, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. Walking away is not a weakness. It is a statement. It is a declaration that you will not settle for anything less than the love, respect, and effort you deserve. Too often women fear leaving because they believe that if they just stay a little longer, if they prove themselves a little more, the man will change. But a man who truly values you does not need convincing. He does not need to be begged to treat you right. The moment you have to fight for the bare minimum, respect, consistency, loyalty, that is the moment you know it is time to go. Disrespect comes in many forms. It can be outright, like name-calling, lying, or cheating. Or it can be subtle, canceling plans last minute, not considering your feelings, being emotionally unavailable, or making you feel like an option instead of a priority. Regardless of how it shows up, the response should always be the same. Do not tolerate it. When you stay in situations where you are not respected, you teach the other person that their behavior is acceptable. And the more you tolerate, the worse it will get. Many women struggle with walking away because they attach their worth to a relationship. They believe that if they leave, they will be alone, that they will never find better, or that they have already invested too much to quit now. But staying in a toxic or unfulfilling situation is never the answer. The longer you stay, the more you lose yourself. The deeper you sink into a situation that does not serve you, the harder it becomes to rebuild your confidence and self-esteem. A woman who knows her worth does not beg, chase, or cling to what is hurting her. She does not tolerate bare minimum effort. She does not lower her standards out of fear that she will not find better. She understands that walking away is not just about leaving a bad relationship. It is about choosing herself. It is about reclaiming her power and making space for something greater. When you walk away from disrespect, you send a clear message. I will not be treated this way. It is not about being dramatic, playing games, or seeking revenge. It is about standing firm in your self-worth. It is about recognizing that you are not responsible for fixing someone, convincing them to value you, or waiting around for them to grow up. Many women believe that if they leave, they will regret it, but the real regret comes from staying too long in a place that was never meant for them. The pain of walking away is temporary. The pain of tolerating disrespect lasts far longer. The moment you choose to leave is the moment you start healing. It is the moment you start attracting better energy, better people, and better opportunities. Walking away also shifts the power dynamic. When you refuse to tolerate mistreatment, it forces the other person to either step up or step aside. A man who truly cares will correct his behavior, but a man who never valued you in the first place will let you go without a fight. And that is exactly the clarity you need. There is strength in leaving. There is power in choosing yourself. The woman who walks away from disrespect is the woman who ultimately wins. because she refuses to settle, refuses to beg, and refuses to waste her time on anyone who cannot see her worth. And when you carry yourself with that kind of self-respect, you will only attract people who respect you just as much. A woman's ability to move on without looking back is one of the greatest displays of strength and self-respect. Too many women linger in relationships that no longer serve them, hoping for closure, waiting for an apology, or expecting the person who hurt them to suddenly realize their worth. But the truth is, closure is something you give yourself. The longer you wait for someone else to validate your pain, the longer you delay your healing. Moving on without looking back is not just about leaving a bad situation. It is about reclaiming your power and refusing to let the past control your future. One of the biggest mistakes women make is believing that walking away means there's still unfinished business. They convince themselves that if they hold on a little longer, if they leave the door slightly open, the other person might return changed and ready to love them properly. But here's the harsh reality. If someone truly valued you, they would not have put you in a position where you had to walk away in the first place. Love is not about waiting for someone to wake up and realize your worth. It is about being with someone who recognizes it from the start. When you leave a situation that disrespects or drains you, the only way to truly heal is to close the door completely. That means no checking up on them, no responding to late night messages, no stalking their social media, and no replaying what if scenarios in your head. When you move on, you do so with full confidence that what is ahead of you is better than what you left behind. A man who let you go, took you for granted, or failed to meet your standards should not have access to you once you've decided to walk away. Many women struggle with this because they fear being alone. They fear that cutting ties completely will make them miss out on something, that leaving permanently will erase the memories, or that they won't find someone better. But the truth is, holding on to something that no longer serves you only blocks you from receiving what you truly deserve. Every time you look back, every time you allow that person to creep back into your life, you are delaying your own progress. Moving on without looking back also means no seeking revenge, no proving a point, and no trying to make them. Regret losing you. The best revenge is not proving that you're better, it is actually being better. It is living a life so full, so happy, and so successful that you don't even think about the past anymore. When you truly move on, their existence becomes irrelevant. You no longer need to prove anything because you have already won by choosing yourself. The process of moving on is not easy, but it is necessary. It requires you to shift your focus from them to yourself. It means investing in your growth, healing, and happiness instead of wasting energy on someone who did not value you. It means building a life so fulfilling that you do not feel the need to check if they miss you, if they regret losing you. Because at that point, it does not matter. The moment you stop looking back, you regain full control over your life. You stop allowing the past to dictate your future. You stop replaying old conversations, analyzing where things went wrong, or waiting for a reconciliation that may never come. Instead, you start focusing on yourself, your dreams, and the incredible opportunities ahead. A woman who moves on without looking back is unstoppable. She is no longer bound by the mistakes of the past or the false hope of someone returning. She understands that what is meant for her will never require her to beg, wait, or suffer. And when she finally releases everything that no longer serves her, she opens the door to something far greater than she ever imagined. At the heart of it all, the message is simple. Women. Must stop being soft on men who do not deserve their kindness, patience, and love. Strength is not in endurance, it is in knowing when to walk away. It is in setting boundaries, refusing to tolerate disrespect, and never begging for the bare minimum. A woman who toughens up does not lose her ability to love, she simply learns to love wisely. With her dignity intact, no more emotional attachments to men who have not proven themselves worthy. No more sacrificing self-respect in the name of love. No more tolerating mixed signals, inconsistency, or bare minimum effort. The moment you decide that your peace, happiness, and standards are non-negotiable, you shift from desperation to power. You become the kind of woman who commands respect.